All right, Outlaw Radio Live fans, we are live on the air with the legendary West Coast rapper, Narrator RBX. How are you doing tonight?
Yeah, I'm good, man. All is well.
That's good to hear,
Blessed.
man. It's good to hear. I have to ask, I know you're a really busy guy, so I'm going to get right into this interview, but I have to ask, what made you decide to get into the music industry?
Well, I used to be kind of a DJ when I was in high school. So that was my calling. I wanted to be like Grandmaster Flash. You understand? I seen Flash do a set back when I was young, and I was thoroughly impressed. And I was like, okay, so my father Woody bought me some turntables, and from there it started. We had a tour with some of the homies, and one night we were supposed to be doing like a battle, and the MCs didn't show up. I guess they got cold feet. So that night, opposed to being embarrassed by the other crew, I grabbed the mic, and the rest is history. Then as time went on, my little cousin Snoop was needing a ride to go see Dr. Dre to work on Deep Cover, and I took him out there to meet with Dre, and Dre heard me talking and asked me if I could rap, and the rest is pretty much history.
That's crazy, man. That's pretty cool, though. Like, those MCs didn't show up, and the next thing you know, you're on the mic, so... That's really cool.
Man. It was old school B-boys back in the days, like our neighborhood versus their neighborhood. And, we've been talking a lot of trash, man. But some of the MCs at that time wasn't built for the battle arena. Maybe doing a song or two was different than being demolished in front of the crowd and having to deal with all that. But yeah, and then with the track coming on and me doing my little thing, and everybody was like, "Yeah, maybe you're not so Grandmaster Flash. You need to go ahead and stick to the rapping thing," and that's pretty much how that happened. So yes, sir.
And speaking of, how that all happened, you meeting Dre, going with Snoop, you joined Death Row Records in 1992. I want to ask, how did that record deal come to be, and what was it like working for Mary and Suge Knight?
Well, it was all good. You got to understand something. I played football with Suge at UNLV. So I knew Suge before the whole music thing had come into play. So it was a different dynamic for me than for a lot of other entities. And the dynamic was fine, I used to go put my music. At the time I was doing the music, so my sole loyalty was to Dr. Dre. Dre was the one making the music, not Suge. He was doing what he was doing, but I was more focused on, trying to pull this album together and do something special. So it wasn't really crazy, possibly until the tail end, and that's when a little money came into the picture, and then that's when it got kind of awkward. But up until then, it was just work as usual.
And when you mentioned Suge Knight playing football, I was watching the Death Row Chronicles not too long ago, and he's one hell of a great football player. Like, I really wouldn't want to go against him in football, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I used to go against him every day, and that's why I knew him in a different light. I, too, started on the defensive line right next to Suge. So, and he was bad, bro. I ain't gonna even lie. Suge was fast. What? He used to do his thing. He had a quick move, a little swim technique. Matter of fact, I think he taught it to me.
You also were a part of Dr. Dre's The Chronic, appearing on songs such as Fuck with Dre Day, Rat-a-tat-tat, and among others. What was it like working with Dre and recording those songs on The Chronic?
It was, you know, I mean, I worked in the studio before, but it was a different dynamic than being in the studio with Dre. He's a perfectionist, and he knows what he's looking for in a sound, sonically. So that was one thing that I had to learn, because I used to think, man, he on some bullshit. Because he would say, man, do that shit just like that one more time. And you say, if I just did it like 10 times, bro, you tripping. He was like, nah, bro, just do it just like that one more time. And I used to think, bro, you tripping. But then I would go in the studio like high powered. I did high powered one time. And when I did that, it was actually I thought in my brain, in my thoughts, that was going to be the reference for it. Because I heard the track going, I heard it in my head, then I was okay, I'm going to get in the booth. And I jumped in the booth, and I was trying to pretty much explain to Dre, this is what I'm about to do, and then I'm going to really put the punch to it. So I did that. And I was telling Dre, okay, let's go one more time. And he was like, nah, come on up out of there, you done. He know what he's listening for. So sometimes you do something 20 times, and you don't know what you're doing wrong until you get it right. And then sometimes you just be right and just go in there and do it, and he'll hear it and be like, hold on, let me fix some things. And he'll be like, nah, man, come on up out of there. So that's what it was.
Oh yeah, he most definitely sounds like he was a perfectionist. He wanted everything like top.
Exactly. 100%. But if you perfect it when you go in the first time, you might do a one-take take. If you're not perfecting it by the 15th time, then you might do 16 or 17.
And speaking of, Death Row and whatnot, you also worked with your cousin Snoop Dogg on his Doggy Style album on the track Serial Killer, which, by the way, is one of my favorite tracks off that album. I have to ask, what was that experience like working with your cousin?
Just like working with your cousin, probably gonna be some arguing and some disagreeing and whatnot, but it is what it is. At the end of the day, we were striving to get the best thing, and me with my MC background, I'm trying to approach it in such. And if I could give Snoop a pointer on this or that or vice versa, then that's what we were striving to do, only because we wanted to win and wanted to have the best sound and stuff around.
And with that song, like I said, it's one of my favorites. But I have to also say this: Doggy Style is probably one of my favorite Snoop Dogg records that he's ever made. I actually have I have a poster of the album cover actually up in the studio. So,
Right, but that was a classic pick, and that was my cousin Joe Cool that did the artwork. So, yeah, I got a couple of those framed. It's all good. It's a beautiful look.
Oh yeah, most definitely. You can't go wrong with the classic album cover looks. I don't make them anymore like they used to, man.
Yeah, they don't. They that's kind of sad. You want to see things evolve. You want to sit back and be like, and then you start seeing things kind of go sideways a little bit, and you see a whole nother little side come, then you're like, where did this come from? And I guess that's the time when all the G's were like, what your ears are tuned to, and you don't want to hear that no more. So that's why you see a lot of the OGs reemerging. The haters is probably going to say, oh, they old and they broke and they trying to... Okay, so that might be the case. They old, they broke, and yada yada. Bless their heart. But the most part is they used to hear music in a certain fashion, and they want that sound again. And the only way to make that sound again is to make it yourself. And if you overserve it, then so be it. But you just tired of hearing that trash.
Hey man, honestly, and I agree with that 100%. I'll let the haters hate. I'm an old school rap fan, so. Hearing the old school artists come back, I'm fine with that. You know what I mean? I'm completely...
Right, I mean, if you old school and you come back and you're not sounding like you up to date, or if you paid homage and take time to get your craft right and to have your finger on the pulse of what's going on, then that's different. But if you just like vintage wine, you understand? Because I heard some brothers get down, you know, older brothers, G brothers that I used to look up to, and they was spitting. And I was like, shoot, Kid Frost one of them. Kid Frost was G in the game. I heard him at a little shindig. He just happened to grab the mic, and I was like, shit. So shout out to Kid Frost and all the G's, man. All the G's is doing their thing right now. You know, shout out to Suicide. What's up, Side, fam? Hey.
Man, most definitely. I agree with that 100%. He most definitely, by the sounds of it, he tore the roof off the joint.
What happened?
I said, by the sounds of it, he tore the roof off the joint when he grabbed that mic.
I still didn't hear. Hold on, bro. I got all these appliances on and shit, bro. Let me see. Hold on.
Sounds good.
Hold on, I think it's gonna stop. Okay, hold on. Let's put the volume up on this thing, because I need to hear you, man. Okay, there we go. We way better now.
All right, yeah, but I was just saying that when you said he picked up the mic, by the sounds of it, he tore the roof off the joint.
Oh, yeah. You know, and I mean, I haven't really got down lately. And sometimes cats be thinking, oh, he might not get down. They don't even know I'm rough. But I ain't really been doing it because I ain't really out been doing shows, bro. I was taking care of grandma, and that was my main priority. It was not going on tour. It was not bars. It was not anything but going to get some oatmeal and some prunes and some stuff that Granny needs and get back to take care of Granny. So that's where I was. So,
hey, man, you know what? That's honestly, that's what a real man does, man. You know what I mean? Taking care of your family, bro. So, you know what?
Oh, yeah. I had to. I mean, I ain't have no choice. To me, it was not even a fork in the road. You know, I went to see Grandma, and I seen some things that I did that was not to my liking, and I went to check on her again, and it still wasn't. Situation had got rectified, and I think I was supposed to be leaving to go on tour about a week later, and I just didn't get things done fast enough. So I'm like, well, I can't leave her in this state. Y'all gotta go. I can't go. And you know, I might have probably upset a few people. However, if you're mad, you'll get glad. I gotta do what I gotta do, and I don't care what you think. I'm gonna hold grandma's down because I'm all she got right now.
And you know what, man? You do what you gotta do, RBX. You do what you gotta do, man.
You understand me? But now, you know, Granny, rest in peace. But now it's time for me to get back to doing my thing. It took me a minute to kind of get over it. I thought I was over it. I thought I was like cool with it, you know. But turns out I wasn't. But it took a minute. But now I'm starting to get back into the music and doing my thing, and that's what happened.
I do want to say first off, before I get into the next question, my condolences, man. Truthfully, my condolences.
It's all good, bro.
So you released your debut album in 1995 called the RBX Files. What's the inspiration behind that record, and how did it come to be?
Well, I was at Death Row, and you know, whether they is B's, C's, and P's, you know, and I have seen a lot of my brothers, Blood Gang, Pyrus, a lot of them just twisted. Not to mention my C's, you know, Long Beach City. And I left that, and I was like, you know, it would be a good thing if we could do I'm gonna start my album, but I'm gonna turn the page. You know, we're not gonna focus so much on the gangbang thing, more on the conscious side of things, and that's kind of how that happened. And I was dealing with the homie Greg Ski, who also was helping Dre with the Chronic sonically, you know, doing some engineering and whatnot. So we just put together something. It was just a little something. It was just so stressful at the tail end of the road that was my keep my dream alive without being all super gangbangerish, and that's what we came up with.
And also a year later in '96, you signed to Dr. Dre's then it was new Aftermath label. How did that record deal come to be, and what's the story behind that?
Well, I think I was at Warner Brothers at the time. Warner Brothers was going through a situation where they were just on the tail end of that Ice-T cop killer situation. And once they got wind, the VPs, they got wind that I was signed over there and I was affiliated with Death Row Records, they just thought it was a bad look. Opposed to pushing my project, they formed a dummy company, Premeditated, which I took and made valid, but that was years later. But while they formed a dummy company, Premeditated, and because they didn't want the backlash from all the yada yada cop killers and me being from Death Row and the Suge situations and whatnot, it was detrimental to me because we had Rolling Stone call over. They wanted to put me on the cover of Rolling Stone, but they kept calling this dummy company when they couldn't get nobody to answer back. They went on to the next thing. So I was in that kind of situation where I was at a label that wasn't really half my best interest at heart. They were doing all kind of nefarious deeds, and I was suffering for it. Right around the same time, I think I had got a phone call. I ran into Dre or something, and we was talking, and he was leaving or going his separate ways from the road, and I was in this little situation. They decided to, okay, this not going to work out, and I think they gave me a relief. And then I ended up hooking up with Dre, and we started working on some things. If I remember it correctly, Dre was like, well, we need to name this label. And we went over a couple things. And then I think I said, but we just got through with the Aftermath, all that Death Row shit. And Dre was like, that's it, Aftermath. And that's what it's been since. Went over there and did the compilation. You know, been there, done that. Blunt Time, which is a classic joint with Roger Troutman. So, you know, rest in peace, Brother Troutman, Roger, the whole Zap situation. That's how that came about. And then, I don't know, right after that, I think I ended up going my separate ways before Dre had, you know, it was like a dry spot. We was just kind of like trying to figure this thing out. So, I don't know. We might have had creative differences or whatnot, but that was the Aftermath story.
That's kind of cool though. You in a way you actually like created the name pretty much. You gave him the idea for Aftermath. That's actually really cool.
Yeah, I mean, but you got to realize, you know, I don't want to be like, oh, I did this. We were brainstorming. You know, we was actually, you know, the producer and MC, so we was brainstorming and we was trying to get the best for whatever we was trying to do at the time. You know, it was kind of turbulent. We still had Suge running around acting crazy, yada, 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 yada. But Dre had more of a love for the music than the drama. And I kind of followed his outlook on that. Like, yeah, we from the turf and everybody does what they do, but we want to do the music, man. You know, without going to the club and getting shot up, without, you know, we're going to make it rough as we can, but we're not trying to die. You know what I mean? And that's not the overall outlook and objective. So that's kind of what was the sense of me. So, man.
So you were also featured on the 1996 completion, Dr. Dre Presents The Aftermath. What was it like working on that project?
I don't know if I remember it as, you know, sometimes I go in the studio like way before and I might have some vocals that's there for something that get scrambled up and thrown on a project later. So it's not like it was a climate or an atmosphere around that at the time. The stuff that I might have been on was already done prior to that project being put together.
Okay, so it's pretty much probably just like in the vault type of thing, and they kind of pulled it out and was like,
yeah. Like I got a track with RBX right here because I ain't seen them. Mind you, I wasn't striving to be disrespectful at the time, but during the time I was taking care of my granny, man, I wasn't doing much. I wasn't like, actually, I ain't trying to come to the studio. I'm not, so to some, I might have came off like an asshole or arrogant because I was like, I ain't pulling up. Well, don't look for me. I ain't pulling up. It wasn't because I was not wanting to show up. It was because, me, I got to stay around the house because Granny has a nurse to come in from here to there. And then from that time, there's a lapse in time, and somebody's got to be here. She can't not be with somebody not here. So I just didn't go.
That's true, man.
Do a lot of stuff. I didn't do a lot of stuff, so.
You also work with Eminem on the song "Remember Me." I have to ask, what was it like working with Eminem?
Okay, so keeping it 100 with you. When I was saying the project we already done, or they had already had some things done, before we done that, Drake called me. Only one was in the studio at that time was me, Dre, Sticky Fingers, I think, my girl Nat, and I think Sticky Fingers' manager / homie. So we go in there and we knock it out. I think M put his verse on after that. I'm not exactly sure when, but I know when I went in there, M wasn't there. Dre was just like, go ahead, do your thing, and I didn't have all time. I think M was supposed to come like at 7 o'clock, and it was like 4 something. And it took me like 30 minutes to drop my verse. So then I would just had to sit around for like a whole couple hours or whatever. And I had my girl with me, and she was like, I'm ready to go. I'm hungry. You know that. So we just like, okay, I'm going to drop my verse. I'm going to get on. I'm going to pull back up on y'all good to make sure things is right. And that's how that happened.
Well, you know what? Honestly, maybe down the road, maybe again, kind of have maybe if they do another album, you can get on a verse with Eminem and whatnot. But it's still pretty cool that you actually got to be featured on that album.
Yeah, it is. It is. All shouts out to Dr. Dre for that. At the helmet or at driving the boat was Dre. So he reached out, and me and that's my dog. Of course, I'm gonna come through. I don't think people knew who Eminem was at the time. And I didn't care. I just knew he was dope, and I knew he was doing music with Dre, and they was doing their thing. And I like real rappers. I like cats that can really, 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 really rap. Like, at the end of the day, you're like, whoa. I'm not intimidated about real rappers because I can really rap myself. So I kind of liked it, and when I heard them rapping, like, oh, nah, they really rapping. Nah, not a problem. And then Sticky, when I get there with Sticky is just like you hear him on the song. Rah, rah, he's really rah, rah. So when I walk in the lab, Stick was like, yo, son, we about to go do this. We about to put the balls in yada yada. Rah. Let's go, man, and that was a beautiful thing, and that was the atmosphere and vibe for that. It was a good look. Shout out to Stick.
And I also for the listeners that might not know this, in the year 2000, you were in the East Siders movie alongside your cousin Snoop Dogg. How did that role come to be, and what was it like filming that movie?
It was really exciting. I mean, like, for real, me, Big Long Beach, and Crackle, Big Trey 3. What's up, Trey D? And I think Snoop had casted some people, and I think I popped up on the set. And I was like, it's really good to have a cousin like Snoop Dogg. You understand? Because I had just made a suggestion. I was like, oh, I can be in the movie. Snoop was like, you want to be in the movie? I said, yeah. I got a part for you. And I'm like, I don't want no goofy part, Snoop. You know what I mean? I don't, you know what I'm saying? He's like, nah, you're going to be Big Long Beach. I'm like, oh, that sounds kind of hard. So, you know, he started telling me what it was, and he was like, this is, you know, it's an independent situation. You got to really pop up because, you know, you're going to yada, yada, yada. I'm like, bro, I ain't going to let you down. I'm going to show up, and we're going to do our thing. And that's what we did. Shout out to all the cast.
And you know, with Snoop Dogg, man, he's a great person and to see in concert as well. I actually, after 9 times trying to get to a concert, I finally got to see him this past summer. And he puts on a show, man. Like, I would say to the listeners, if you haven't saw Snoop Dogg live, he puts on one hell of a show. He's everything you expect plus 10 times more. He's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I remember back in the days when we was doing songs and, you know, just walking out on the stage, as raw as you can just get, like the DJ and the turntable, grab the mic and walk out on the stage. From those days, and seeing them just like with a full blown show, I was like, yeah, he's done that. You know, I guess that would be the progression, and from being around cats like Dre, because you know we would go from the shows that we were doing, and then see how things would step up when we would do something with Dre. Not music wise, just show presence and more eye candy and more stuff. So you know, to provide an entire show than just a performance. You know what I mean? You can go up there and perform, but a performance and a show is a little different. But when you do a show and you give a great performance, it's a whole little different thing. You understand me?
Oh yeah, most definitely. So also, your newest EP is called The Equinox. I have to ask you, what's the inspiration behind that record, and where can our listeners stream it or buy themselves a copy?
The Equinox, it was basically, that was some stuff that I had done. Remember when I told you prior, and I was like, well, I had to get back out there and learn how to ride the bike again. And I didn't know how I sounded no more, you know. I didn't know what people were thinking. I just say, hey, I'm going to just get out here and ride the bicycle. So that's what the Equinox is. It's like, you know, 12 hours on, 12 hours off. Sometimes it's dark, sometimes it's light, but here it is. This is how I sound. And come to find out, hey, just a lot of people say I still sound pretty good. So, you know, gave me incentive to keep working and keep moving. You know, just like I said, a jump start for the battery.
And we were also talking via text, and you were telling me about a song you did with Mosey MD called 3 Alarm Fire. Can you tell our listeners a bit more about that, and how did you get connected with Mosey MD?
Okay, so when I was in high school, I walked into we got like a Poly High School, it's like really nice arena. It's been there for like years. And I go in there and I hear somebody singing. I thought it was Prince at first. I knew it wasn't Prince at the high school, but I thought somebody had the song on, you know, live or something. Like, oh, that sounds really live, but that's Prince. And I got closer and closer. It was Mo. It was Mo in there rehearsing for the talent show. That's how I first met him. Like, oh, okay, that's Lil Mo. Okay, woo, wah, woo, wah, woo. So, he started doing his music then. I knew him since high school. But I went to college after that. You know, that was that talent show. Then after that, I went to UNLV. That's when I ran into Suge and all that stuff. And he started doing his music. I guess he was with John Cougar Mellencamp and doing his thing. And I didn't know, he didn't know that I was RBX. So the Chronic came out. He didn't know He was like, man, this dude on RBX. I said, that's me. And, oh, man, I know him, yada, yada, yada. And then I figured out that he had did all the pop stuff, and he was like, man, I've been a fan since we were youngsters. And he was like, well, we needed to do something. A partner of mine, Mario Marino, a.k.a. Rio Beats, had a track. So we I think combined forces with Mo and asked Mo to come do the hook and that's combined force, and he did it, and it turned out really, really nice. So we ended up doing the video for it, and that's the 3 Alarm Fire.
And I do want to let our listeners know that right after this interview, I'm going to be playing that song for everybody. So guys, you're in for a treat. It's one hell of a great song.
Oh, and I think it's MYMRLS or whatever. I think I'm gonna have to send it to you so you can get it to the folks so they can go get them some copies. But it's all over Spotify, and I don't even have the sites ready right now. I'm goofy in that part. I was just not the businessman. I was just being artsy and all on the artist thing. But I got to get you that information though, so you can get it to the folks. But I can't think of that site right now, bro. It's eluding me. Say a site right there. Hey, come on, help your boy.
Deezer, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube.
DistroKid. They can get it through DistroKid.
All right, guys.
Does that make sense?
That makes sense, yeah.
All right, bro.
Perfect, yeah, because I think DistroKid, they also distribute it to all other platforms as well.
Right, so once you hit DistroKid, we finna unload them with a whole yada yada. So they're gonna have a whole brand new RBX catalog, and you can get a bunch of stuff that you never ever. I got about 30 joints people never heard before. We about to upload them.
Well, I'm most definitely looking forward to hearing those. Most definitely, I think the game needs RBX, and I'm glad you're back, man. I really am, man.
Well, when I left, it was different. Then when I came back, I had a lot of people that was reluctant to show me what the new format. I came back here talking MySpace. Come on, bro, MySpace.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, they was looking at me like, "Hey, you old school." So I'm gonna get up to speed and get everything current, man. I just appreciate you giving me a platform, an opportunity to even talk and let folks know that was going on with me. For those that was inquiring and wondering, hey, we here, we active, we still connected to all the loved ones, we still doing everything. It's just I just wasn't doing music for a while, but now I'm back. And I appreciate y'all.
Hey, man, I want to say thank you, man. I've been a fan of yours for a very, very long time, man. So just the fact to even be able to speak to you, have you on my platform is surreal right now. So thank you. And I have just one more little question for you. I have to ask you, what is next for you, man? What's next on the plate for RBX?
Okay, so listen to this. I got a rock album. I was actually for a minute signed to Elementary. Elementary is Korn's label. Unfortunately, I got a couple joints with Korn, but I didn't actually finish the album with Korn. But it did spark a rock thing, me being on the road with Power Man, 5000 and Papa Roach. Shout out to Kobe, to all my cats, POD, Metallica was out, Korn, Jonathan, Bill D. Head, Monkey, all of them, David. I got to give a shout out to them, but that sparked my rock thing, So I got a rock album called Liquid Metal that can drop at any time, and I got a new album, Devil Tap, that's probably gonna drop some real hard hip hop stuff. So we really active.
Oh, man, that sounds amazing, man. So, RBX, this is the time in the interview that I give a chance for the individual that comes on my show, a chance to give shout-outs to whomever they want to give shout-outs to, and also their social media handles. That way our listeners can follow you on all platforms if they're not already doing so.
Okay. So, I shout out all my folks. First, I I'ma say, let me see. I'm trying to think. You know, you don't want to sound crazy, but first and foremost, to the homies from Artist Shield who've been looking out for me. You know, that helped me along the path on some things that I didn't understand. So we're gonna say what's up to the Shield. Shout out to everybody that got love and been promoting Premeditated Records and you're going down and holding the RBX thing down. I think the Facebook handle is Eric Miller. I did that just because, you know, I don't want to be all Hollywood with it. And, you know, if you're going to figure out who RBX is, then you're going to find a page. So I think Eric Miller is one, and Mr. Narrator X is for Instagram. So you could just pull up on me, holler at me. You know, we don't do the Hollywood thing. If I got the time, I'm going to get back. I'll eventually get back to you, though. One day I'll be starting to do and see you message and holler at your boy.
Most definitely, RBX. I want to say again, thank you so much for coming up on Outlaw Radio Live, providing me with your time, man. It was an absolute honor and a privilege just to be able to chop it up with
all
you, man.
Good, man. All good, Immortal.
Oh, man. You have yourself a wonderful night, man. Have yourself a wonderful week as well. And most definitely, hopefully one day we cross paths and we can do this again.
Okay, man. Everything is 100, man. Stay in contact with me with the new stuff so I can make sure you get laced up.
Hey, most definitely, man. You know, my DM is always open. This is my phone number for business and personal, so anytime you need anything, shoot me a call. I'm here.
I'm going to hit you. I got some hardcore hip-hop shit coming. I'm going to hit you up. Don't even worry about nothing. Everything 100.
Oh, most definitely, RBX. Have yourself a wonderful night, man. We most definitely will chop it up soon.
Okay, bro. 100.